Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to LearnTube. Today we are continuing the Introduction to Scratch, Part 5 Events and Control. So, in the previous lessons, we talked about motion blocks, looks, sound blocks, sprites, and what are sprites, backdrops, and the costumes page, which is this page over here, with everything about how to use this tool and the sounds area. So today we are going to be talking about a brand new type of code. If you did not watch any of these videos, make sure to go and watch them. You may find the links in the description below and in the playlist. And now, without further ado, let's get into events. We are going to start with the events section. The first block we have is when green flag clicked. And this one is extremely obvious because it's simply whenever the green flag is clicked, which is this little thing. This green flag is well known for, it's not well known. What it does is simply it starts a project. That's why whenever you see any Scratch project, they tell you click the green flag to start the game or to start the whatever. The next block we have is when specific key is pressed. And then there's a whole drop down with all the keys in the keyboard and numbers and letters and the enter and the space bar and the arrow keys and the minus, the comma, and the hyphen and the dash and the comma. So again, the code starts whenever any of these buttons is pressed. When this sprite is clicked, this one is extremely helpful whenever you're trying to make video games and then you want to give them a play button. You code the play button. Whenever this sprite is clicked, which is the play button, this certain code happens. Next block we have is when backdrop switches to and then a specific backdrop. As we said in the looks video, there is a way that you can switch backdrops without having to click into the stage and then go to backdrops and then change the backdrop from the backdrop list that's like over there. Instead, you could use the looks, and then if you're making like a story or something, and then it's different scenes, you could say whenever the backdrop switches to woods, show this sprite or hide this sprite or make this sprite say something. You have dozens of different ideas. The next is when loudness is greater than 10. Now, loudness and timer, which is the second option in the drop-down list, they are sensing operators. They are sensing options that are a little bit advanced, and we will mention them in the sensing video, so make sure you do not miss that video out. If you did not subscribe, make sure to do so you do not miss any of the videos. Back to where we are. The next one we have is when I receive message 1. Now, this one starts a code whenever a sprite broadcasts or sends a message to the system of the computer or whatever. Now, this block cannot work without having this block or this block. Broadcast message 1 and broadcast message 1 and wait. These blocks, what they simply do is that they send a message to the Scratch platform so they send messages that no one can see but the blocks itself. So for example, broadcast message 1, whenever this message is broadcasted, this one is anything that is under this block of code is going to start, because this one, whenever it receives message 1, it starts performing the code. And the same thing with this one, but the difference between this block and this block is that this one waits after broadcasting the message until something happens before it continues, if there is like more code below the broadcast message. Now that is everything about events. Now we move on to control. Control is simply how you control the game or the project or whatever you're doing. The first one is the easiest one. Wait 1 second. This block simply gives a break between scripts of code. So if you're like running for like move 100 steps as like a sprite, for example, and then you want him to take a 2 second break, he's like, oh my god, I'm tired, or whatever. You can do that by simply like adding a wait 1 second block. The next block we have is repeat 10 times. This one runs whatever code is inside for the number that's typed in here. So if it's only 5 times, it repeats the same whatever is inside the loop 5 times. If it's 1 million times, it just repeats it 1 million times. That's pretty much it. The next block we have is the forever loop. Let me just scroll down. The forever loop simply just runs whatever code is inside it forever. I think that was the easiest one. If, and then there's a gap, then. Now, what gets filled in these gaps? Well, these gaps could have many things filled in them. Parts from the sensing, parts from the operators, and I'm just going to have a quick look through it. So let's go just to sensing. Now, I will be explaining everything about sensing just in another video, so make sure you watch that video so you do not miss anything. So this code says if touching mouse pointer or the edge, which is the edge of the stage, like the borders, or apple 2, apple 3, or apple 4. The normal apple did not appear because we are coding the normal apple. If touching the apple itself, it won't make sense. So if touching mouse pointer, then, and then, this is a checking statement. If then checking statement. So the banana is going to check, am I touching the mouse pointer? If the answer is yes, the code inside the loop is going to run. If the answer is no, nothing is just going to happen unless we're touching the mouse pointer. Alright, the next block we have is similar to this one, but this one tests if we're touching and if we're not. So for example, if we are touching the mouse pointer, let me just duplicate that one over here. If touching the mouse pointer, then run a specific code. Else, so if we're not, we're going to run this script of code. So the banana is going to ask itself, am I touching the mouse pointer? If the answer is yes, I'm going to run 10 steps or move 10 steps. If the answer is no, I'm going to change my color effect by 25, for example. So that's pretty much everything about the if, else, and if statements. The next couple of blocks are very easy. This one is wait until. So this is pretty much if we take this touching mouse pointer sensing tool again. Let's duplicate it again. Wait until touching mouse pointer. The banana is going to wait and not perform the code until. So whatever code is below won't be performed unless the banana is touching the mouse pointer. This one is similar to the if-then statement, but this one is more of a like, I'm just not going to do anything or do whatever is above that block, and whatever is below is not going to happen unless the banana is touching the mouse pointer. Repeat until. So this one is similar to the wait until, but this one just keeps repeating the same exact code. the code that's inside of the loop, it just keeps repeating it forever until it's touching the mouse pointer. So it's just going to keep, like, for example, if there's a move 10 steps in here, it's just going to be moving 10 steps, moving 10 steps. Uh, Only if it touches the mouse pointer, it's going to stop. All right, so the next block we have is stop all. Now, this one is the easiest one ever. It just stops every single code that is in the project. And now you notice that other blocks like this one have this bump at the end. This one doesn't because it's the end of the code. You cannot add anything below this block because it just ends the code. Now in the drop down list, you could stop all, or stop the script that the block is in, or stop all the other scripts in the sprite. Alright, so the next three blocks are the last three blocks we have. When I start as a clone. Now, what is a clone? A clone is simply a copy of the banana. So let's delete these apples. Do you want to delete the sprite? Yes. Do you want to delete the sprite? Yes. And do you want to delete the sprite? Yes. Now we're left with this one. When I start as a clone simply is going just to copy this thing everywhere without having to do a million sprites, for example. Now this block is create clone of myself. Whenever this block is activated, you notice that it got cloned. And if I move the apple, the banana, let's activate this block. I don't know why is it not activating. I think it's going to activate once we stop the green flag. There we go. Creating clone of myself once is activated. So I think you get the hang of it. So pretty much whenever the banana is like on, it's activated. It creates a clone, which is a copy. A clone is a copy. So that's pretty much it. And creating clone of myself, when I start as a clone, it simply says whenever I get copied, do this. So creating clone of this block cannot activate unless this block is placed somewhere in the script. So the last one we have is delete this clone. So it simply deletes the clone of the banana or of whatever. So I guess that's it. I hope you learned something new. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so you do not miss any of our incredible videos and so you could help your friends and your family get good at Scratch too. Thanks very much for watching again, and I'll see you next time.